Good morning, Professor Wiecki. My name is Richard Clario, and I am here to answer the exam question number 2. Based on Immanuel Kant's What is Enlightenment from 1784, explain what kind of reforms the Enlightenment thinkers wanted to bring about. According to Kant, why is it so difficult to think for oneself? Who are the guardians, and why do we need to question the motives and advice? Are we living in an Enlightenment age or the age of Enlightenment? Explain your choice. Finally, in what ways do the ideas of Kant, Voltaire, and Jean-Jacques contribute to the outbreak of the French Revolution? Provide specific examples. So first off, what did Enlightenment thinkers actually want in the early 1700s? And they wanted an intellectual movement where people started believing that humans could use reason and logic to improve life. And they wanted to move away from certain things like blind faith and superstition, because these are how things have been made and done for years and years back in the day, and they just wanted to change it and get away from it. They wanted to change certain things, and obviously, which I think was a very good idea, because they wanted to change politics and religion. And in the politics side, they wanted everyone to have kind of a freedom of speech, and speech and religion too, which obviously leads into religion. But they also push for tolerance in religion, meaning people should be able to believe what they say and not be punished for it. Otherwise, like things in the past where they have been punished and severely beat for saying certain things. In Kant's essay in 1784, he started off by saying enlightenment is a man's emergence from his self-incurred immaturity. And what he means is by people stay immature when they let others think for them, when they don't use their own understanding. And the reason it's self-incurred is because most of the time people choose not to think. And Kant said this happens because of laziness and cowardness, and it is easier to just let someone else decide what's right or wrong or what to believe instead of yourself. And he also says later, stop being afraid to think. And I think this connects to his idea of guardians. Guardians can be anyone, priests, kings, government officials, teacher, really anyone who, tells others what to believe or how to live. And I guess Kant is also trying to say, he's warning us not to accept what you're told, but always ask why, and always get a reason before you just go ahead and listen to, someone above you. Which can be very hard for people like lower class, talking up to people, and, they don't really feel like they have a voice, but Kant is explaining through this, essay that you need to do that no matter what. Now, Kant obviously had his, difference in living in an age of enlightenment and an enlightenment age. And I guess the way he described it, the first one, an age of enlightenment, means society is on the way to becoming enlightened. People are starting to think freely, but not everyone has done it yet, but it's growing. And an enlightened age would mean everyone can use reason and freely, and society truly supports that. And back in 1784, Kant believed Europe was living in an age of enlightenment, not yet an enlightenment age. And if we look at today's world, I'd say you can argue this either way, because you see most people doing this, one way, but you also see other people going a different way and not feeling like they have a full freedom of speech while others are doing this. We'll get back to that more, explaining that, but I want to also talk about the French Revolution now and how Kant, Voltaire, and Jean-Jacques helped lead to this. And Kant's ideas focus on freedom of thought and individually responsibility. He said everyone should think for themselves and make moral decisions based on reason, which honestly, for me, I totally understand that reason, because he's standing up for what he believes in. He wants everyone to do it like this. And Voltaire, on the other hand, was famous for criticizing the Catholic Church and the French monarchy. He strongly believed in freedom of speech and freedom of religion. He exposed corruption and wrote works like Candide, which mocked how unfair and hypocritical society was. And his famous saying, it's crush the infamous thing, referring to get rid of ignorance and tyranny. But I can't it's something like that. And then there's Rousseau, whose book, The Social Contracts, had a huge influence on revolutionary thinking. He wrote, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains." And he argued that power should come from people, not kings, and that citizens together should make laws that reflect the general will of people. And when you put these thinkers together, Kant's idea of personal freedom, Voltaire's push of justice and tolerance, and Rousseau's call for equality and democracy, you can see how these ideas gave people the confidence to rise up and demand change, and also people to pick sides. And because obviously not everyone's going to agree. You never will in today's society. But overall, I'd say the Enlightenment wasn't just a science or a philosophy. It was about freeing the human mind, especially to leaders like this. And so, recap, Kant taught that enlightenment starts when you stop letting others think for you and you think for yourself. Voltaire showed that reason can fight against injustice and abuse of power. And Rousseau reminded people that true freedom means having a say in your own government. And since all these people, they had different ideas, this obviously sparked the French Revolution, because wars, obviously in today's day and age, and back then as well, if you didn't have two people agree and they were two pretty, well-known people or countries or whoever, it's going to start a war. And obviously they still matter today, the ideas. But every time we question authority, challenge unfairness, or reason to solve problems, we're continuing the enlightenment that Kant talked about. And I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about is to touch on are we living in an enlightenment age or an age of enlightenment today? I mean, I kind of briefly talked about it earlier, but I would say maybe not completely, but as long as we, keep asking questions and thinking for ourselves, we're keeping the enlightenment alive. And because it's very, very difficult to, determine which one you're living in. And I think there's obviously some pros and cons to, both of them. But if I had to lean towards one, it'd be the age of enlightenment, just because of the freedom in speech and how, today's society has, gone. Thank you, Professor Wiecki, for listening to this. And I will send you a screenshot of my notes for all three of the questions. Thank you. Have a good day.